landed on the bank. Oh, don't shake. I like my fingers. That's a good one. Hey guys, feels good to be on the water. You know, we're a couple of weeks off winning the Classic. Got home and just overwhelmed with all the phone calls and interviews and stuff like that. But this is the first time I've been on the water, and you know, we came to a lake that's really close to my house, and today's just gonna be about going fun fishing. Water temperature is 52 degrees, and that's my favorite. I mean, 50 to 57, 58 is my favorite time to be on the water, because it just opens the lake up so many things that you can do. I want to catch them cranking today. I got 3 crankbaits laid out. The waters, we had a big rain. So the upper end is chocolate milk. The lower end is pretty clear. We're gonna focus on that mid-range where it's mixing. And you know, it should be pretty good fishing. You know, whenever we came out here, I thought the water would be up enough to maybe get in some bushes and flip and do that kind of stuff, but it's just not quite there yet. What I look at, you know, on the bushes and stuff this time of year is I want that water level to be kind of mid-bush for there to be a concentration of fish in there. So we're gonna go cranking and just have fun. It feels great to be out here, and the sun's shining and everything's looking good for a great day of fishing. Choked it. Nope, it's on the outside. That didn't take long. Right on the top of the head. There's a million bass in this lake like this. You know, a lot of people, you look at the bushes and you look at the watercolor and you're like, you're crazy. Why are you not up there flipping bushes or throwing a spinnerbait or something like that? And believe me, it's crossed my mind, but there's 2 things that's got me out here cranking. One is I looked before I left and they're running water, and it's just now coming up. But the key is they're running water, which, you know, there's gonna be some fish getting the bushes, no doubt. But today I'm just looking for a group of fish. You know, I can pull up and catch 3 or 4 in one spot. But that's one variable, and 2, and think about that. Anytime you go anytime you go to a lake, if they're running a lot of water, it's gonna put a lot of fish, you know, on these points and stuff like that. You can still catch them in the bushes, and we may end up in the bushes before the day's over with, but especially pre-spawn, it'll set a lot of them up out here on these points. And the other variable is the water is coming up. It's just now getting in the bushes. Like yesterday, you probably couldn't even have flipped these bushes or thrown a spinnerbait. So that's another variable. If it had been sitting there for a while, I probably would be more apt to get in the bushes. But those 2 variables, they're running water and the lake is just now starting to touch the bushes. And I just want to catch something cranking, you know. Little stretches like this, no matter what lake you're on, you can see how the rock's kind of bigger. And then it turns to pea gravel. You know, you'll hear a lot of us always talk about transition areas. That right there is a picture of a transition area, and I don't know what it is about it. These kind of areas are usually pretty good, not only year-round, but especially good in the springtime. They just seem to get around that stuff. And to me, I personally think that it's an area where, you know, this is kind of deeper and that's shallower. This is kind of the front time where these fronts come through. They can kind of hover around that stuff. You know, you get a couple warming days, they can kind of move to that shallower stuff. That's my opinion, and I'm pretty sure that's pretty close. But you know, in front of these bushes here is just a bunch of old softball-sized rock that you can see when the lake's normal. So we're not just cranking pea gravel. There's some rock down there, but it will eventually down there just turn to solid pea gravel. You know, we started the day with the crankbait, and we're only, you know, a half hour or so into it. You know, one of the things that really neutralizes a lot of the conditions is the dirty water. You know, we don't have a lot of wind today, but you have to think about it. You know, this dirty water coming in, it'll put a lot of these fish on the bank. You know, pre-spawn, some of these fish may be staged up on these points and stuff, and once you give them dirty water, you know, they're going to move up there and get shallower. Now, we're only a couple of days in from the water being dirtier, so it may take another day or two. But as far as, you know, feeling the crankbait today, I mean, I still feel it 100%. We haven't got on that. There'll be a stretch somewhere, or a few stretches, where there's a lot of fish, and we'll catch them. You know, and as far as crankbaits, I started with the speed in here, the original, and it's just a bait that I've got a lot of confidence in cranking. It's the right size to catch big ones, and what'll surprise you is how deep it gets. You know, it gets down there 7 or 8 foot on a long cast. So you know, I don't have to have 2 or 3 crankbaits up here to cover a lot of that depth. And then this color, diamond crawl, like for off-color water, and it doesn't matter if it's spring, summer, winter. It just, I mean, it's the one color that I always start with because it just catches them, especially you know, that red tint in the springtime. It just gets their attention, and they can see it good. But you know, we have a new bait that's out, and I think it was just released last week at the Junior. You know, this is the Speed In Junior, and this is going to be a bait that I'm going to throw a lot. You can see it's already got teeth marks and stuff on it. I've been lucky, I've had it in my boat for a while, and the only reason that I'm probably not throwing that is just because everything's right. I mean, the water's dirty, the water temperature is right to have some big fish up there. So I'm going to start with the bigger bait. Now, we get around some areas where the water may be a little bit clear, or say we go down a stretch and I catch a few on this and I want to come back through with something different, then I'll use old Junior there. And then I got a flat A laid out, the new kind of revised deep flat A. And that's just going to be if we get on a stretch where, you know, it's pretty steep right next to the bank. I can pick that up and get out there a little bit deeper. But, you know, this time of year is just, I mean, it's wide open as far as fishing. You know, if it was windy, you know, the wind was blowing in, I'd probably pick up a big spinnerbait and start slower on it. The difference in that is when this water gets dirty, these fish want to get up there pretty shallow. That spinnerbait, I could, you know, kind of feed it in through the bushes and do 2 things. You know, I could fish the bushes and then also fish out, you know, slow roll it once I got out there. But it's just telling me with the way the water is just now coming up, you know, not a lot of wind today, should be able to catch them cranking. You know, the first half hour we've been out, I've kind of fished some different stuff. Had a bite early on kind of a flat point, and we really haven't fished anything else like that. It's all been, you know, just stuff. I'm just still kind of feeling it out. And then, you know, this is another kind of flat stretch right here. So I pretty much expect to catch one. But this is the time of year where you have so many different stages. You know, you got some residential fish that live around these pockets. They're up around the bank. But you also have what I call the lake fish, you know, that big group of fish that probably don't even know it's, you know, it's getting close to springtime yet. You know, they're out there. And so I'm still wanting to fish around the lake, you know, just to try to catch some of those lake fish. I had one on earlier and just had him on for just a second. He come off. But I mean, that's what's cool about these tournaments this time of year or fishing. You know, I fish a lot of tournaments here where this time of year where I might be up on the bank, you know, fishing 2 foot or less, and my buddy's down by the dam and he's jerking a rogue out over 20 foot of water catching fish that's just now moving up to stage. And that's what I like so much about this time of year. There's just so many different things that you can do. You know, and I kind of play it really just what I have the most confidence in, you know, depending on the lake. But there's times that I'll go down towards the dam and fish that more staging pattern because it can be a lot more predictable, you know, those fish that stage up those schools and stuff. But honestly, I just got up this morning and want to go throw a square bill and run the bank. We'll have our chances today to catch some, there's no doubt about it. Had to get in the wind. He ate it like he's supposed to eat it, crossways. I have a rule when you're fishing. No matter what you're doing, if you're not having a great day, you get on the windiest bank you can get and you just fish. Especially on lakes like this, you know, this is a pretty clear lake. This just gets these fish active. You know, we started up there in that dirty water and it's just, the dirt's just too new. We need another day or two, so we came back down and got in the clear water and just gonna fish. That's the cool thing about a crankbait. I mean, you can just tie it on and just cover water. Make a lot of casts and just move. And this wind lets you do that. When I'm running wind, you know, I mean, any wind's good, but like, I call it 90-degree wind. Like, I want these banks where the wind's hitting it at 90 degrees, as opposed to 45. You know, it gets everything moving there. You know, this is actually the river channel here. There's a lot of fish that are still lake fish that'll get pushed up there. I mean, the bait, you know, and just the dirty water where it's slapping against the bank, they'll get up there and eat. I think that's a mean mouth. Looks like a spotted bass, looks like a smallmouth. Hit right underneath the boat. I switched to the flat A from the square bill just because we got down here in this little bit clearer water. Get down just a little bit deeper. That's a fish. Just like that other one a while ago. I mean, it landed on the bank. Landed on the bank. Oh, don't shake. I like my fingers. That's a good one. So I lost a big one earlier. Same kind of bite. Landed on the bank. It's just all about covering water. That's one thing about a crankbait. You know, I may throw a crankbait the rest of the day and knowing that another bait's better, but it just, like, it lets me cover a lot of water and learn. You know, the 2 big bites I've had so far has been right on the bank. You know, I could probably pull a spinnerbait out, get up there and fish shallower and get more bites, but I can't cover as much water. This lets me learn, because I still haven't ruled out that 6 or 7 foot. That's the thing about this year. You might catch one, or this time of year, you might catch one up on the bank, and you might catch one down there 7 or 8 foot. So, but like the crankbait landed, just like the other one, and one crank he was on there. I thought I was hung up. Well, there wasn't hardly a bite there. Old black lips. You know, it's just one of those days that everything's changing. You know, live scope, 99.9% of the fish I'm seeing are just out here swimming around suspended. Water's coming up, you know, and it's just, I mean, it's just one of those days where sometimes fishing, you just have to put a bait in your hand that you have a lot of confidence in. It's just a tougher day and just cover a ton of water. You know, a day or two, like I said, I'd be up there flipping bushes, but it's just not there yet. You know, and in the spring, you can have some of those kind of lazy days, I call them, where these fish, you know, they've been wintering all winter long and the sun's out, it's pretty. And what they want to do is get out there and lay around in sun more than they want to eat, and it's just hard to get them to react. You know, if I'm out cranking, I'm gonna have, just like today, 2 or 3 rods out. One that's 3 to 4 foot, 5 to 6, and then, you know, deeper than that, just because I want to be able to cover everything. You know, like a pocket like this, you know, it may be shallower on one side than the other, but I really pay attention to the bites and how the fish bite it. Meaning, am I digging bottom and they pick it up off the bottom, or is it when I break loose and it's free, you know, and I may adjust my baits based on that. You know, there's times that it may be 8 or 10 foot deep and I'm throwing a crankbait that's only running 3 or 4 because it seems like they want to hit it on the way up. But, you know, it's not like a spinnerbait where I can take one bait and cover all the depths. You know, you can control it a little bit with line size, but most of all, I mean, a depth is a depth on a crankbait. So I'll have several laid out if I feel like that's going to be the deal for the day. Well, you can tell by the way they're eating the bait. It's not an eating day. But, you know, we still caught, what, 7 or 8? Just squarebill, and you can look at the clouds. You start seeing clouds like that on a sunny day, there's something that's a little weird, a little off. So, yeah, I mean, we're just gonna mark it down as an off day. And I hope you guys learned something. Thanks for riding along.